I never thought something so private could open the gates of hell for me. Those were the first words that escaped my lips when I woke up from that terrifying encounter. For years, I called myself a Christian, yet behind closed doors, I was chained to a habit I couldn't control. Masturbation. I told myself it was harmless. Everyone does it, right? But what I didn't know was that every innocent moment was dragging my soul closer and closer to eternal death. I'm about to tell you what happened the night I died, the night I saw hell with my own eyes. And I promise you, after hearing this story, you'll never look at sin the same way again. Before we begin, I want you to listen not with your ears, but with your heart. Because this isn't just my story, it could easily be yours. Before I go deeper, I want to take a moment to thank this incredible community, the faithful brothers and sisters who've supported this channel with your comments, shares, and prayers. You are more than just viewers, you are part of a growing family of believers who refuse to stay silent about truth. Every time you like, comment, or share one of these testimonies, you are literally helping someone find freedom, someone like me, who once believed there was no way out. I've read your messages. I've seen your tears in the comment section. Many of you are fighting silent battles, addiction, guilt, lust, shame. You are not alone. And this story, my story, is for you. If God could reach down into the darkness that had swallowed me, if He could pull me out of the fire and give me one more chance to live right, then there's hope for you too. So, as you listen, don't just treat this as entertainment. Let it be a wake-up call. Because when I stood before the flames of hell, I realized that no sin is private in the eyes of God. Stay with me till the end. I'll share the 5 steps God revealed that helped me overcome masturbation and live in freedom. But first, you must understand how deep I had fallen. My name is Michael, I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I grew up in a Christian home where the Bible was not just a book, it was our daily bread. My father was a deacon, my mother, a prayer warrior. I attended Sunday school, youth meetings, night vigils, you name it. From the outside, I looked like a perfect example of a church boy. But no one knew that behind that image was a war, a silent, private war I was losing every day. It began when I was 13. My cousin came to stay with us during a long school break. One night, I found a crumpled magazine under his pillow, the kind no child should ever see. I didn't even understand what I was looking at, but something inside me shifted. It felt like curiosity at first. But curiosity became fascination, fascination became desire, and desire became slavery. I still remember the first night I gave in. I sat there trembling, ashamed, yet strangely satisfied. And then, the guilt hit me like a storm. I cried that night, whispering, "Lord, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'll never do it again." But I did. Again, and again. It became a cycle, temptation, sin, regret, and promises I never kept. As I grew older, the habit grew stronger. By university, I was leading the youth choir, preaching purity to others, yet living in secret bondage myself. I'd lift my hands during worship, but deep down I felt like a fraud. Every time someone said, "Brother Michael, you're such a strong Christian," I'd smile, but my heart would whisper, "If only you knew." I prayed. I fasted. I even anointed myself with oil, begging God to take the urge away. But every time I fell, the guilt became heavier. Soon, I stopped praying altogether. I avoided communion. I'd enter church, but I couldn't feel His presence anymore. I'd sit in my room afterward, staring at my trembling hands and whispering, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I stop?" Then came the dreams. I started seeing shadows in my sleep. Voices calling my name from dark corners. Once, I dreamed of a vast pit breathing fire and smoke. Souls were screaming, and something inside me knew, that was where I was headed if I didn't change. I told no one. Not my pastor, not my friends, not even my parents. I thought, God must be tired of forgiving me. But he wasn't. He was watching. Waiting. Planning the moment he would wake me up the only way I could understand, by letting me see where that secret sin was leading me. That moment came one April evening in 2019. I remember lying on my bed, my heart pounding faster than usual. A strange heat filled the room. Then, everything went dark. And that's when my journey to hell began. It happened on a Saturday night, April 13th, 2019, a date forever burned into my memory. That evening, I had fallen again. I'd promised God earlier that morning, never again. But temptation came like a flood, and I drowned willingly. When it was over, I sat in my room staring at the ceiling, tears burning my eyes. "I'm finished," I whispered. "God, you must be tired of me." My chest began to tighten, slowly at first, then sharply. A strange heat spread across my body. My heart was pounding so fast that it felt like a drum inside my ribs. I tried to stand up, but my legs gave way. I collapsed beside my bed, gasping for air. Everything around me blurred, the walls, the window, the sound of the ceiling fan. It was as if time itself stopped. I heard a faint buzzing in my ears, and then, silence. And in that silence, I realized, I was no longer breathing. Suddenly, I felt myself lifting, floating above my own body. I looked down and saw myself lying motionless on the floor, eyes half open, mouth slightly parted. A wave of cold fear washed over me. "No, this can't be real," I said, but my voice echoed like it came from somewhere else. That's when I saw it, a shadowy figure standing in the corner of the room. It wasn't human. Its presence was thick, heavy, suffocating. I couldn't move. It whispered my name, slowly, almost mockingly. "Michael." Before I could react, something yanked me backward, hard. It felt like being pulled through a tunnel of wind and darkness. The air around me turned heavy and foul, filled with the stench of burning flesh and sulfur. The screams started faintly at first, then grew louder, overlapping, cries of pain, regret, and despair. I tried to cover my ears, but I had no hands. I had no body, just awareness, fear, and regret. I shouted, "Jesus! Help me!" But my voice vanished into the noise. I saw faint red lights in the distance, like flickering coals scattered across an endless void. The closer I got, the hotter it became. I could feel heat, real, searing heat, even though I no longer had a physical body. Shapes began to appear, twisted forms of people, some crawling, others screaming, their eyes hollow and dark. Chains clanked as unseen creatures dragged them through rivers of fire. One of them turned toward me, his face half melted, his voice trembling, "You're not supposed to be here yet." Before I could respond, something snatched him away into the flames. I tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The ground beneath me was alive, breathing, pulsing, like molten flesh. Every sound, the screams, the grinding, the distant laughter, stabbed my soul like knives. I began to understand, this wasn't a nightmare. This was hell. And I was inside it. Terror unlike anything I'd ever known gripped me. I remembered every sermon I'd ignored, every time I'd told myself, "God understands." I thought about how many times I'd hidden behind the excuse, "At least I'm not hurting anyone." But now, all my excuses were gone. There was only judgment, and me, hanging in it. I screamed again, "Jesus, forgive me. Please, get me out." But my cry was swallowed by the darkness. Then, the ground beneath me cracked open. And I began to fall, deeper. The moment the ground gave way beneath me, I felt myself plunging through layers of heat, darkness, and voices, endless voices. It was as if I had fallen into the very heartbeat of torment itself. There was no air, no light, only pain and awareness. I could feel every regret I'd ever buried, every lie, every act of hypocrisy, every time I said, "I'm fine," while dying inside. As I fell, I saw faces screaming from the walls of the pit, human faces, pressed and fused into the surface of burning stone. Their mouths opened and closed in agony, their eyes rolled with despair. One voice shouted, "Turn back," but another screamed, "There's no turning back here." Their words echoed like thunder inside me. Then I hit something solid, but it wasn't ground. It was as if I'd landed on living flesh. It moved under me, pulsating, groaning. I looked around and saw rivers, not of water, but of fire. Souls were being dragged through them by dark figures, tall, grotesque, and merciless. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur, smoke, and decay. I could taste fear. I could hear bones cracking and cries for mercy that went unanswered. In the distance, I saw what looked like a mountain made of fire. People were climbing it, screaming in pain, trying to reach the top. But just as they neared the peak, something invisible threw them back down into the flames. Over and over. No rest. No escape. No end. I screamed, "Why am I here? I believed in you, God. I was a Christian." And then I heard a voice, deep, thunderous, filled with sorrow but also judgment. It said, "You called me Lord, but you never let me be Lord over your secret life." Those words cut deeper than any sword. I fell to my knees, weeping. I tried to cover my ears, but I had none. I tried to close my eyes, but they would not shut. In that place, there was no hiding, only truth. I saw others there, people I once knew. One was a youth leader from my old church. He looked at me and cried, "Michael, tell them. Tell them not to play with secret sin. It's not worth this." Before I could speak, a dark creature with wings like smoke seized him and dragged him screaming into a pit of boiling darkness. The heat intensified. The air burned like acid. Demons, hideous, laughing, circled around me. Their eyes were like coals, their laughter like broken glass. One of them hissed, he thought no one saw him when he sinned. Another replied, but we watched. We waited. They mocked me, repeating my own words, the excuses I used to comfort myself. "It's just once more. Everyone does it. God will forgive me again." Hearing my own lies echoing in that place broke me completely. I cried out, "God, please. I'll change. I'll do anything." But the voice returned, gentle yet terrifying. "You had many chances. You felt my spirit warn you. You ignored me." I tried to remember every altar call, every sermon I brushed off, every night I told myself I'd repent tomorrow. And then, I saw myself, as if watching a movie, kneeling beside my bed, crying after sinning, saying, "Lord, I'm sorry," and then falling again the next night. Over and over. It played like a loop of failure and grace rejected. I fell on my face and screamed, "Mercy." But my words turned into sparks and vanished. Then, out of the darkness, I saw a figure, tall, radiant, wrapped in light that the darkness couldn't touch. Everything around froze. The scream stopped. The fire paused. Even the demons retreated into the shadows. The light grew brighter until it felt like the sun itself was standing before me. I couldn't look up, but I knew who it was. It was him. A glow surrounded me, warm, alive, and pure. It wasn't the harsh fire I had seen moments before, this light felt like compassion itself. I fell to my knees, shielding my eyes. The noise of that terrible place faded until only silence and my own heartbeat remained. Then a voice, not booming, but steady, filled with sorrow and love, spoke within me. "You were never meant to live in shame. I gave you strength, but you fed your weakness. Yet even now, mercy waits." I wept. Every wall I'd built, every excuse, every secret, collapsed. I saw flashes of my life, the child who wanted to please God, the young man who hid behind ministry, the adult trapped by guilt. In that moment I understood what real separation from God meant. It wasn't punishment, it was living without His presence, and that was unbearable. The light drew closer until it touched me, and suddenly I felt weight lifting off my shoulders, years of self-hatred melting away. The same voice continued inside my heart. Go back. Tell them freedom is possible. I will show you how to walk in it. A surge of wind pulled me upward through darkness. The screams below faded like an echo. I rose through layers of gray until I saw faint color again, blue, like morning sky breaking through fog. Then came a violent gasp. I was back in my room. My chest heaved as air filled my lungs. I could still feel heat on my skin. I touched my face, tears mixed with sweat. I was alive. Alive, but changed. For several minutes I couldn't speak. I just knelt there, trembling, whispering, "Thank you. Thank you." The memory of what I'd seen, what I'd almost lost, was burned into me. I knew I'd been given one more chance, not because I deserved it, but because grace had refused to let me die in sin. That night I understood that victory over masturbation, or any secret sin, wasn't about willpower, it was about surrender. When light enters darkness, the darkness loses its grip. In the quiet that followed, 5 clear principles formed in my heart, the same ones I live by now. 1. Confession. Drag the secret into the open before God and a trusted believer. Hidden sin grows, exposed sin dies. 2. Renewal. Fill the empty spaces with scripture, prayer, and accountability. Freedom must be maintained daily. 3. Boundaries. Guard your eyes and mind, temptation begins with attention. 4. Purpose. Idleness feeds addiction. Serve, mentor, create, let your energy honor God. 5. Dependence. Remember it's not about perfection but connection. Stay close to the one who rescues. When I opened my eyes the next morning, the world looked different. Sunlight filtered through my window like mercy itself. The sounds of Lagos traffic, which used to irritate me, now reminded me that I was still here, still breathing, still with purpose. The first thing I did was pick up my phone and delete everything that had ever led me back into darkness. Old photos, links, numbers, gone. Then I called my pastor. For the first time in my life I said the words out loud. "Sir, I've been fighting something I can't win alone." He didn't condemn me. He prayed with me, cried with me, and helped me find an accountability group of men who had once struggled just like I did. Week after week we talked, prayed, and reminded each other that grace was stronger than shame. Slowly, the chains began to break. The urges didn't vanish overnight, but every time temptation came, I remembered that pit, that light, and the second chance I'd been given. I learned that the key was not to run from God when I failed, but to run to Him. Today, I serve in a ministry that helps young people fight secret addictions. I tell them the truth, freedom isn't about never feeling tempted, it's about choosing light every time darkness calls your name. My worship feels real again. My laughter, genuine. My heart, at peace. The man who once hid in guilt now stands in grace. And every day I wake up, I whisper the same prayer. Lord, keep me near your fire. The fire that purifies, not the one that destroys. My friend, I'm not sharing this story to scare you. I'm sharing it to remind you that sin always promises comfort, but it only delivers chains. I learned that the hard way. Hell isn't just fire, it's the absence of God, and that emptiness is unbearable. If you're still fighting in secret, hear me, there is hope. Freedom is real, but it begins with surrender. Don't wait for tragedy to wake you up. Don't assume there's still time. The grace you ignore today may be the last one offered. Choose light. Choose life. Choose Jesus, now. If this story has reached you today, it's not by accident. Maybe God is calling you to let go of something that's been holding you captive. Don't ignore that tug on your heart. Do you believe hell is real? Do you believe that grace can still reach you, no matter how deep you've fallen? Tell me what you think in the comments. I read every single one. Share this story with someone who needs hope tonight. Thank you for listening, and may God keep your heart burning for truth. Until next time, stay ready, and stay close to Him.